In Module 11, we talked about rhythm, tempo, and meter. Rhythm is the subdivision of a space of time into a defined repeated pattern. It can also be defined as the division of music into regular metric portions. Tempo is how fast a music composition is played. Some common terms to describe a piece's tempo are largo, moderato, and vivace, which means slowly, moderately fast, and lively. Meter is a measure of time. Musicians need to understand meter signatures, which tell them how many beats per measure and the note value of the beat. In Module 12, we learned about melody and harmony. Melody is a succession of tones comprised of mode, rhythm, and pitches, so arranged as to achieve musical shape, being perceived as a unity by the mind. If a melody has a significant importance in a composition, that is referred to as the theme. We look deeper into pitch, which is the specific quality of a sound that makes it a recognizable tone. In this scenario, the sound is the melody. There are three general terms to describe melodies. A melody that jumps from pitch to pitch is a disjunct melody. A melody with adjacent pitches is a conjunction melody, and a repeated pitch melody is where the same pitch is simply repeated. Melodies also have direction, whether it be upwards, downwards, or just staying the same. Melodies also have a range depending upon how high and low the highest and lowest pitches go. Harmony and rhythm help build stories and emotions through the melodies. Harmony is defined as the simultaneous combination of two or more sounds in harmony. In harmony, there are two sections. Consonant pitches are a combination of pitches that go together well, while dissonant pitches are pitches that clash with one another. Module 13 was about texture and form. Texture refers to the vertical structure of music. The three basic types of texture are monophony, polyphony, and homophony. Monophony means there's a single melody. There can be multiple instruments or vocalists, but there will only be one melody or voice. The term voice simply means a single melody. Polyphony is quite the opposite. Polyphony is when there are two or more independent melodies being played together. The two defining characteristics of polyphony are independence and equality of voices. The third basic type of texture, and most common texture in Western music, is homophony. In homophonic music, a single melodic line usually carries the melody. Form is the structure of a composition. Strophic form is when the song has verses and each verse is sung with the same musical tune. Theme and variations form is when the theme is mainly the same throughout the song, but has slight modifications made that are different throughout the song. Rondo form is where there is a main theme played at least 3 times, being separated by a contrasting episode. Binary form is the simplest form, consisting of 2 themes played in an A-B pattern. In Module 14, we talked about the medieval period. The medieval period was from 500 to 1450. During this time, trade expanded and villages were becoming cities. Also around this time, the Roman Catholic Church rose to power. The Gothic architectural style started to gain traction and was very popular. Musical notation was invented around this time, which allowed for manuscripts to be written. Without these manuscripts, we would not have any certainty with what was being performed during these times. Until the 10th century, music was monophonic. It was in the 10th century that music began to have meter and two or more voice parts singing different melodic lines. This is referred to as polyphonic music. The sacred music of the time was the Gregorian chant. The church considered it a sung prayer as opposed to a spoken one. Some sacred composers of the time included Leonin Peritonin, Hildegard von Bingen, and Guillaume de Machot. Very little secular music from the medieval times survived to the current day. Secular music was not widely noted until the 15th and 16th centuries. Troubadours, trouvères, and mine singers wrote poems and composed music throughout Europe, giving us a good sample of European secular music. In Module 15, we learn about the Renaissance period. It lasted from 1450 to 1600. The term Renaissance is French for rebirth. During this time, man's place in the world was reborn. People started to express complex emotions again while enjoying life and having fun. Also during this time, the Roman Catholic Church started to lose the tight grasp that they had around everyone. Excuse me. Some key figures from the era were Queen Elizabeth I, Shakespeare, Christopher Columbus, and Johannes Gutenberg. The two main types of music in the Catholic Church right now came from the Renaissance period, those two types being the Mass and motet. During the 15th century, the forms of church music were experimented with. Many consider Josquin des Prez the epitome of Renaissance music in regards to the motet form. Polyphonic music and vocal music were very big during this time. A lot of music for small ensembles was written during this period. One of the most important forms of music during the Renaissance was choral-focused music, since instruments were going under a standardizing process throughout Europe. Modes, similar to our major and minor scales, along with harmony, played an important role during this period. On the secular music side of things, madrigals were the principal form of music. Also during the Renaissance, musicians became knowledgeable on how music would sound without using their voices, just the instruments. This type of instrumental music took off during this period. Some popular composers from the Renaissance were Giovanni del Palestrina, William Byrd, Johannes Ockeghem, and Jacob Obrecht, Carlo Gesualdo, and Thomas Wilkes.